Hey, what's up? This is Brandon Simmons for BrandonSimmons.biz. This is my weekly video blog called Bullheaded, a review of the Houston Texans news, as well as a preview of the upcoming game matchups. So last weekend, the Texans went into Foxborough to face the New England Patriots and came out with an L. And so to summarize that whole game, it's just three words: work to do. They have a lot of work to do, as far as I'm concerned, and to me, it's kind of very disappointing. There's so many expectations that was set for this team coming into the preseason, nonetheless, and they look like they're just starting to get into the preseason. So that has to change really quickly. First things first, it was just a sloppy start overall, and that started with Deshaun Watson. Now, granted, he had his injury last year, and so he probably, he had to do rehab, obviously. So maybe that hindered through some practice time or whatever. But I mean, this first game last weekend, it just did not look well at all. His stat line: 17 to 34, 176 yards, one touchdown, and one interception. Like, it was just not a stat line for somebody that we were figuring to have, like, maybe a breakout year, to say the least. But it is what it is, and last week I even said that this coming into this year is going to be a continuation of his rookie year, since his season was cut so short last year. So maybe I shouldn't be too surprised that he came out and put a performance like this, but it is a little bit concerning and more so irritating. Obviously, the fan side of me says this is very irritating. What I will say on the bright spot of that is that first half was atrocious, but the second half, things just seem to just be picking up a little bit. I believe they were outscored 21-6, the first half. Second half, Texas just came back, outscored the Patriots 14-6, held them to 2 field goals. So that's a little bit of a bright spot. That's saying, like, hey, we've woken up. We're gonna get things turned around really quickly. And so, with that being said, not just on Deshaun Watson am I going to put all this blame. Sorry for the Yoda talk, but there was just a couple of blame to go around all around. There was just a couple of things to blame all around. I'll say our offensive line wasn't doing that well in the first half at all. Unfortunately, it costed one of our tackles, Chantrell Henderson. He's going to be put on IR, or reserved injured list, this week. And so, in addition to that, on the flip side, our defense, they weren't that great in the first half. I mentioned last week about one of the keys to winning that game was getting a pass rush from our front seven, including Watt, Clowney, and Merciless. And, neither of them really got that going. So that was kind of a letdown there. But like I said, defense turned it up a little bit in the second half, held the Patriots to, 2 field goals. And so that holding them to those 2 field goals allowed them to kind of creep back up in the game a little bit, give us a chance towards the end of the game to win. But obviously it wasn't enough. One of the things I also want to harp on about the defense is Kevin Johnson. Unfortunately, he suffered a concussion and is going to be put on the reserve injured list as well. But he also was missing a couple of assignments on some big plays. And so I'm thinking, if there was some better communication going on between him and Matthew, or Honey Badger, if you will, then probably would have been a different story. Probably would have been a tie game heading in, or Texas might have had a lead or two going towards the final moments of the game. So definitely, that's something that's going to have to be worked on within the secondary, just communicating and knowing your assignments. Speaking of Henderson and Johnson, unfortunately, they suffered some injuries, and they were some key components to each of their units, both offensively and defensively. So you can already see, the injuries are kind of creeping up a little bit, and which is something that we don't want. Me as a Texans fan, just knowing what happened all last season with injuries, it's something I'm not really trying to see again this season. So hopefully that'll get kind of held down a little bit more, and hopefully everything will get fixed up. Now, the steps to doing that have already seemed to be implemented or just coming along themselves. Um, so last week we didn't have Will Fuller, so DeAndre Hopkins was pretty much that primary receiving option, and Belichick did his best to kind of bottle that up as much as he could. Um, with Fuller returning, we get that speed back, hopefully, because he's coming off a hamstring injury. So I'm not sure how fast he'll be, but definitely we get another option at receiver that'll kind of take a little bit of the pressure off Hopkins. They also signed cornerback Sharice Wright, and I don't think he was just that big of a I don't think he was that big of a deal or that much of a big time player or household name, but it's good to have him signed as little body that we need as far as like giving the cornerback a rest or just backing up in case somebody gets hurt again. He'll be starting behind Aaron Colvin, I believe, this week. So definitely we got a couple of new corners coming in, and I mean, it shouldn't be too bad. Romeo Cornell, he's a good defensive coordinator. I mean, getting 27 points scored on you the first week of the season, that probably makes me look a little crazy saying that. But I think things will just get better as time goes on. Shout out to the Honey Badger for getting the fumble and interception. I believe he's the first Texans player to ever record a stat line like that in week one of the season. So, but with that being said, we're off the Patriots. It's on to the Tennessee Titans, our division rival. So last week, they came off their own loss, 27-20 as well. And so they're looking to kind of get back in the groove of things themselves. They played the Dolphins, and I'm not sure if anybody was kind of paying attention to what was going on in that game, but it was like a huge rain storm delay that they had going on. So I'm pretty sure they just got off the playing field 5 minutes ago. But yeah, this week Texans are going to be playing the Tennessee Titans on the road, nonetheless. So Titans are going to be extra hyped for that one. A couple of things are here, a few keys to winning this game, but one of the first things that came across my attention when trying to find something to pick at for beating the Titans was head coach Mike Vrabel, former Texas defensive coordinator. He said that quarterback Marcus Mariota, and quarterback Blaine Gabbert were going to be both playing in this game. And so that kind of struck me as a little odd. Well, apparently Mariota had an elbow injury at some point in the game last week, and so Gabbert had to come in and do a little bit of relief for him. But before that, Mariota was, I think he threw like a couple of picks or whatever, and so I think he threw one or two picks, and so with that being said, it's kind of the football person in me wants to see how this actually turns out. Is it going to be successful? Is it going to be a failure? Is this going to be something where the Titans are sending Mariota off? That's the football person in me. And also, I was going to say, the Texans fan in me is like, I don't care this week because this looks like barbecue chicken. I don't think this is going to work out at all. However, the Texans fan in me also is wondering, like, how is this going to work out? Who's going to be the quarterback for the next game? But with that being said, this week, like I said, I don't think this is going to work. It's the fact, having two quarterbacks playing the game. That's usually some college stuff, and yeah, the NFL is slowly implementing, college type offenses into these playbooks. But for the most part, I think this is a whole like ideal philosophy type thing. Like the two quarterbacks, like I'm not sure how great it's going to work. Now, I will say this. the thing about both of these quarterbacks, which is probably going to make it easy on our defense to kind of anticipate things, is that they have their own obvious skill set. So with Gabbard, if he's coming in the game, it's likely going to be a pass play or something just real stationary. He's not going to come in the game, do the run pass option, or he's not going to do a regular option or anything like that. He's probably going to throw the ball down the field. He's probably going to, if it is a run play, he's probably going to hand it off to a running back or pitch to a running back or whatever. I wouldn't anticipate him, going for a quarterback draw or anything like that. With Mariota, that's where the probably the main issue is going to come. He has the ability to run. He can get in the end zone with his feet. I'm just thinking that but as far as his throwing goes, it might be off and on. He might have, a couple of games where he probably get 200, 300, or there's other games where he's like, in the 100, yard mark. So in the NFL, throwing under 200 yards is, kind of look down upon, especially these days. This probably would have been good back in like this probably would have been the thing back in like 1997, but it's 2018. Like they give you a flag if you sneeze on the quarterback these days. So uh, basically, each quarterback has their own skill set. So with that being said, I think both of them will need to have like some sort of spy, especially Mariota. Mariota will need to spy. Not sure how hurt his elbow actually is and how much that could affect his throwing motion. So if it's not hurt bad, then he'll probably be able to like test it out and throw some like intermediate passes. The thing is with Gabbard, obviously he's not hurt for any reason, so he's probably going to throw like the deeper plays. So it's all going to be a mix of like, is he going to throw the pass or is he just going to hand it off in a single back formation or anything like that? So I would definitely keep a spy out for both of those guys, just in case they try any like, trickery or anything of that nature. So Bernard McKinney, he should be able to, handle that on the inside as well. So definitely look out for, and for the two quarterback system that Vrabel is going to try out. As for us on the offensive side, make sure there's no bad throws. The Titans, they signed Kenny Vaccaro this season from New Orleans. Also, they got Malcolm Butler, excuse me, from the New England Patriots. He's at cornerback. That's the same Malcolm Butler that was playing for the Patriots against the Seahawks in that Super Bowl. And that was the one that made that interception. But since then, you haven't heard really too much about him. And so, with that being said, he's gonna be in this game. And last week he had a pick. Vaccaro had a pick as well. If I'm not mistaken, I believe that that Tennessee defense actually had like 3 picks. It might have been just 2. So, but yeah, definitely watch out for Vaccaro as safety. Watch out for Butler as well. Make sure that they're not around the ball as much, but more so just make sure that these guys are, make sure that we're making the right decisions on taking care of the football. Win the running game battle. It's the final key to winning this game, actually. Last week we had 100 plus yards, I believe. And Miller had 98 yards all on his own. So it's going to be very, very important that we win the running game battle. Let me see if I can pull it up right now. Yeah, 167 rushing yards to New England's 122, 4.9 per rushing play. So very, very, very solid rushing stats right there. But with that being said, we're going to have to repeat that performance against this Tennessee team, I would say, and just kind of play them on the run. Um, in addition to that, we're going to have to slow down their rushing attack. They have Derrick Henry and Deion Lewis in their backfield. And so last week, I believe Lewis had, yes, 16 carries for 75 yards. So they had about, overall, they had 116 yards, including some rushing by 3 rushes for 15 by Mariota. So, Lewis had 16 carries for 75 yards. Only thing is, one of those was like a 26-yard run. So the other 15 rushes really didn't seem that big of a deal. So it's going to be best to just kind of bottle Lewis up a little bit and make sure he's not, breaking loose. And the crazy thing about it is he's the backup, so he won't be starting. The starter listed on the depth chart is Derrick Henry, and he had 10 carries for 26 yards. So he's not necessarily like the explosive runner that he is. He's not necessarily the explosive runner that Lewis is. He seems more of like a power guy, so he may or may not run on first and second down. But if he runs on anything, pass first down, most likely is going to be short yardage. So I wouldn't be surprised if they go for it on fourth down. However, it's going to be very important that the Texas defense sets the tone and stops the run and wins the battle for the between the running games. So those are the things that they need to win. They do that, they can pull this off. Now, that's all I got for today. I'm Brandon Simmons for BrandonSimmons.biz. I'll holla.